Hello, everyone. This is J.W. Collier. I'm from Sober Militia. I write a daily blog about sobriety, and I'm joining here today with Bobby C. We're going to continue our video cast from last week, talking about some different core beliefs and how they may affect us in our sobriety. And so I'll let Bobby go ahead and introduce himself there for a second, and then we'll get started.
Bobby C. here. I always say a friend in recovery and beyond. And this is a Sober Militia podcast. And I'll be the co-host, and I'll be joining John today. So we're going to be talking about core beliefs that John has developed. And he continues his writing with the core beliefs, and very interesting. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Bobby. So the core belief idea came from when I was in therapy, and my therapist was working through how to kind of approach some of these things that we carry with us, from deep in our history, and we use them to kind of shape how we see the world. So the core beliefs are something that can be a very negative aspect on our sobriety, because if we feel in a certain way, say that we are not capable of quitting drinking, right? If we believe that, then what we're going to do is continually try to find evidence to support the fact that we won't be able to quit drinking. And we can always find that evidence. And so the idea with this kind of therapy is to try to change that core belief so that we think in a different way. For instance, instead of thinking we can't quit drinking, we start to believe that we know that we can. And then once we start believing that we know we can quit drinking, then we'll start looking for evidence to support that as well. So it's just a shift in our thinking is what we're thinking here. So we ended on number 5 last week from my blog. Again, it's Sober Militia. It's through xstopwriting.com. You can click on any one of these core beliefs, and there's a podcast available as well where you can listen along and read the blog too. If you have any suggestions or thoughts about some different beliefs maybe you've had in your life that have affected you negatively or kept you from, being successful in your sobriety or anything you're trying to do, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and we'll take a look and maybe we can explore them together. So core belief number 6. This was actually from one of my readers, and she said that one that she struggled with is the idea that sobriety is boring. And so that's an easy one, because I think anybody who's been in this position knows that this is something that goes through our minds. We use, alcohol or whatever it is, whatever addiction we're in, we've used for so long that we become to rely on it. And so perfect example would be, going to a party and you don't know anybody, so you don't feel comfortable going. And while you're there, the only way you can feel like you can loosen up to where maybe you could, reach out and start talking to people is to maybe drink something or do, a drug. And that gives you that courage or whatever you want to call it that allows you to be able to kind of loosen up and do that thing. So then we go out and we do our thing and, end up acting like idiots and waking up the next day feeling like crap and start the whole process all over again. And so I think that, we've gotten so used to using our addiction as a way of having fun or dealing with situations like that, that we can't see the idea of maybe being able to have fun without it. And so it's a very logical, thought, I think. And like I said, I had it myself. But what I found really quick was the moment I quit drinking, I kind of found the opposite. I felt that the idea of being able to be clear-headed, being able to think straight, have, articulate conversations with people. I felt like I was actually had a little more humor than I used to have, because it actually makes more sense. And, just, everything, being more present in the situation, right? With my family or with my friends, I feel like it's just a lot more fun. And so what I said in my blog is that I've laughed and both cried more than I have my whole life since I've been sober. And it's because it allows us to open up and be more present. And that's kind of where the direction I took that blog when I wrote about core belief number 6 and sobriety being boring. Bobby, what's your experience with that?
Well, you're a living example of sobriety is not boring. So because you jumped right into activities, you jumped right into writing, and matter of fact, it kind of like rejuvenated you.
Yeah.
Sobriety just gave you more energy, more excitement, and more passion. So you jumped in and started creating things that it eliminated boredom. You know,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
activities kind of takes the boredom away. For me, boredom always, you know, I used to look out the windows. I used to stare out the windows and think of things that I wanted to do. And that was boring. I wasn't doing anything. I was
Yeah.
thinking about it, you know, and then not only thoughts would come into my head about this life is boring, and then I pick up a drink, just like you said, to go create some drama and some excitement that I thought that was going to be short term anyhow. Was
Yeah.
never long term, short term. So yeah, I'm with you with that boring stuff. Boring is a big trigger. I would say it's a big trigger for early sobriety.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And this word, you know, I tend, John's going to talk about core beliefs, and I'm going to talk about, when I talk a little bit about rational and irrational beliefs,
Right.
rational and irrational thinking. Okay. Irrational thinking, is it true? Irrational is usually untrue. It doesn't make much sense, and it's harmful for me. You know, rational thinking would be more true, makes more sense, and it's healthier for me.
Yeah.
So I tend to go with sobriety is not boring.
Yeah.
That's more, or you know what, sobriety can be boring, but I choose not to have it boring. I choose to do things. So it's a choice. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
And I think it's how you know how you look at it too, right? If you think that the only way to have fun is to be inebriated, um, if you take a step back from that and think, what does that look like? And I think that's a little bit what I wrote about in the blog is, when I started going out after becoming sober, what I started to do was kind of just pay attention. Watch people, watch how people interact, watch how the conversations go, watch how people treat each other. And that's when I started really realizing that, you're not having that much fun. You think you are. But what you're really doing is just trying to kind of deal with the situation, half-assed, right? You can't really deal with it. And so you just kind of hang on. But what thought was really kind of interesting was watching a conversation start with a group of people who maybe hadn't started drinking yet, and then watching how that conversation just slowly declines over the evening to the point where it almost becomes unintelligible, and people aren't even listening to each other anymore. They're just kind of trying to think of what they're going to say next, and so nothing that people say makes much sense, and to me, that's, there's nothing more boring than listening to a bunch of people talk about nothing, right? And then again, it comes back to what you said, which is really important, is that idea of using your sobriety to start new ventures, right? And for me, it was writing, and I've done quite a few different things with that with the blog and writing a book I'm writing right now, and then doing some of these sobriety meetings I'm doing, and the website and podcast, and it's just it's giving me all this energy to do things I've never had the time to do because I was always hungover and felt like crap. So yeah, I think the boring part is pretty much the exact opposite, and I think you could just go so far as to say that sobriety is pretty freaking exciting if you let it be.
Yeah. And you know what? As you were talking, I'm thinking, me looking now, uh, drinking is boring.
Yeah,
You know, when I look at people, even myself, I mean, just sitting there. If somebody like let's say we're really active, you know, we hike, we do these podcasts, we're excited about life, and we're looking at somebody sitting there just sitting around drinking all day long. To
yeah,
me, that looks kind of boring now for me
yeah.
today.
I can't imagine what life would have been like for the past 2.5, 3 months in this quarantine if I had still been drinking. I can't even imagine it. I feel like I was so blessed to have started my journey before that happened. And for the past couple of months, all I've been doing is everything I want to do. It's just been incredible. So yeah, it's all in how you look at it, right? If you want to see it as boring, you're going to find boring things. But if you want to see it as exciting, you're going to find just a myriad of different things you can do that is a lot of fun.
It's all in the eyes of the beholder.
Yes, it is. All right. Core belief number 7. Nobody will like the real me, and this is definitely an interesting one. I think for anybody too who's been through this is, um, you know, so often we use alcohol as a way to deal with the world, and um, what that does is it changes who we are, right? And it changes how we see the world. It changes how we are affected by the world. and it changes how other people see us. So if for 20 or 30 years or longer, we've been using a substance to alter our minds and change the way we act, then the people around us are going to be people who like that person, right? That altered state person. And typically what that looks like is people who themselves are altered as well, right? We tend to surround ourselves with people that are like-minded. And this is not to put anything against anybody else out there. I have friends that still drink, and I make a choice now whether I want to maintain that friendship or not. But what the problem I think where people run into is they think that, well, if I stop drinking, these people who are still drinking are going to look at me differently. They're going to see me differently. I'm not going to be as much fun. I'm not as interesting. I don't do the same things, right? And then so that kind of lays into that boring side, I think, too, that people will not see you the same. And so where the direction I went in that blog was I started thinking about the nobody the nobody that will the nobody what did I say nobody will like me. Those people that don't like you are not the people you want in your life anyway, right? I think we know that. And so what I found real quick in sobriety is that as soon as I stopped drinking, I started looking for the communities. And there's an enormous community out there of people in the sober community who are just sitting there with their arms open waiting to say hi and support you and be there. And you'll quickly find that if you reach out, I mean, it is an active step. You have to reach out to people. But as soon as you do, you're going to find a whole family of friends that you had no idea were possible by getting into the sober community and seeing that, these people actually like me more because they know what it's like. They know what I've been through, right? And then you will have a different, affinity for them as well because they've been through something similar, and so you build this really quick, close connection, like you and me, Bobby. To be honest with you, it took no time at all for us to kind of click and start working, right? And so I feel like that's that part where it's like, yeah, there might be people who don't like you anymore if you're not drinking, but those aren't your people, right? You got to find your new people.
Yeah. Nobody will like the real me. I know that, say my old buddies, my old friends, if they were in bars and I came around them and I wasn't drinking, they aren't going to like that. Who wants to be around somebody that's drinking tea while they're drinking and having fun? And I will be boring to them,
Yeah.
And that's okay. Uh, to, I almost think that, did I really know myself anyhow? So the real me, will the real me please step up?
Yeah.
I don't. Today, who is the real me? I think in recovery, we're on this. Well, let's say I am, and you are, John, I know,
Yeah.
and we are. I could say
Sure.
we.
Sure.
We're on this journey to discover, to uncover, recover, and discover the true nature of ourselves. So I really don't know the true nature of a human being, but I'm anxious to find out, self-inquire and to find out really who is the real Bobby C, and is it that important, because I'm going to go through this journey. I probably wear a mask anyhow. I was just telling my wife, I can wear a mask. I'm like a chameleon anyhow. I might wear a mask to my grandchild and wear a different mask to my wife. My wife's going to see me in a different sense. I could put on a different mask to when I'm out in business and want to present myself. So I think it depends on the agenda, the mask that I put on, but who's the real me? Man, I'm still checking that out.
Yeah. Well, and it's a fun experience too, to kind of get to know yourself. And I think just that statement, and that is a statement I hear people use, is that people won't like the real me. And just and I wrote about this in the blog is think about that statement. For me to say people aren't going to like the real me, that's me admitting that I've been trying to hide who I am for how many years, actively going out of my way to try to hide who I am. And so I don't know who I am, right? And so you let that go and you start getting to know yourself, and that's a fun experience, man. I've been enjoying it. I'm still doing it, still trying to figure it all out. But it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, the people, well, let's just say us, we the real, there's going to be people that are watching this podcast that don't like the real me.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's going to be people all over that don't like the real me, but that's not my job to worry about who likes me or who doesn't. You know,
Right.
uh, I like you, and I hope you like me. So we
Right.
have this connection, and you spoke about that connection. We got this connection real
Yeah,
quick, right?
for sure.
So I like you, you like me. We have stuff in common. We have a like-minded, and we're working towards the same the same thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hey, there's going to be people to watch this podcast. They're going to press don't like, and when they say don't like, I'm going to take that personal, and I do. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a human being as a human being trying to be human. I see these things and feel these things, and they're natural occurrences in the emotion in the body and feelings. And when I see, you know, like or not like,
Yeah.
oh, he didn't like this podcast. There's going to be people that do that.
Yeah. And that's all right. We're just trying to talk about from, our experiences. And like I said, from the beginning of this thing, when we first met Bobby, I really like that we have this huge, range in our time, me being very new in sobriety and you being there for 36 years. We're bringing different things to it. And I think that's a lot of fun to kind of hear that.
So,
Yeah. And, so for anybody who has that feeling about thinking somebody may not like the real you, just remember, like I said, you're going to meet people that get you more than probably most people have ever got you. You just got to let them. And think about that. You got two people like-minded thinking that way. It's going to be a pretty powerful thing. All right. Core belief number 8. I am not a good person. This is, an obvious one that comes up for many of us who have for years been, indulging in whatever our addiction is and the subsequent actions that come from that. Because if we're not thinking straight or not, in our right minds, we're going to make decisions and do things that we're not going to be proud of. I think one of the things I hear the most are how people wake up and immediately start wondering what they may have done wrong, that night before. And, that's a life of bad decisions that can be behind us. And over time, I think that starts to take a toll, it starts to make us feel like we aren't a good person. And I think in the blog, I actually wrote about this, but there was a movie called 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, and she's doing a stint in recovery. And one of the people there said, because she was talking about how she felt bad about all these things she did. And he just said, those are just things you've done. They don't define who you are. And I think that's huge, right? We got to be able to forgive ourselves. And so forgiveness in a lot of these core beliefs is going to be a big part of it. You got to be able to step back and say, okay, yeah, I did those things. I don't feel good about them. We, make amends where we can. We fix what we can. We're not going to be able to fix everything. And not everybody's going to forgive us. But we can forgive ourselves. And I think that's the key to this core belief, is to step away from this idea that we're not a good person based on actions. Okay. We can still be a very good person, even though we've done some bad things. And especially from this day, like you've always talked about, Bobby, right now, right? Living in this moment, from this moment on, if I'm not picking up that glass and I'm not acting in that way, then I'm creating a new, identity essentially. Right. And that is of a good person. So we got to tell ourselves every day, we are good people. We've done some bad things, but we are good people. You remember feeling
yeah.
anything like that when you were going through with that idea of like, I'm not good?
Well, what did I say? I think I just got done saying it. I'm a human being trying, being human. I'm
Yeah.
a human being being human. So being human means that we make mistakes, you know.
Yeah.
It's just that we use our mistakes to benefit us today, you know. We look at our mistakes and we try to build on them and do a little bit better. Getting back to that, I am a bad person. I mean, that statement is it's a big statement, because
Yeah, it is.
really, how does these things, how I talked about it in the last podcast, cause and effect. I mean, that's, to me, karma is cause and effect. Okay, and I got to be honest. I screwed up a lot of things to have people say bad things to me, especially
Yeah.
my wife. Okay, especially my wife. I have a long history with whoever you have the most past with is the most button pusher, okay, because they know you the most.
Right.
And I've been married, I'll be married coming up 49 years, and I met my wife in ninth grade. So I have a lot of past, and a lot of that past is not good,
Yeah.
okay? It's a lot of trauma and a lot of bad stuff that happened that I created. So that cause and effect, the cause, I went out and did some bad stuff. I came home and I got yelled at, okay? I got in trouble, as a kid. I wasn't even a kid, but I was an adult. But I heard, and and that feeling, like you said, that feeling, what I'm doing is I'm actually recreating that feeling. I'm causing it, and the effect is coming back to me. So it's like this circle.
Yeah.
So today, what I'm trying to do is try to, my cause and effect is trying to do a little bit better, trying to stop these things that I used to do and behave in a different, rational way. So I'm creating new core beliefs today. And John, you said it in the core beliefs. You gave like a definition. Our beliefs developed over time
Yeah.
from repetition over and over. Learn behaviors which can affect how we perceive the world. It doesn't not only affect how we see the world, it affects how other people see us in the world,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? So cause and effect today, I believe in karma. I try to do the best I can. I'm human. I'm going to fail. No
Yeah.
question.
Well, and just in the simple act of beginning sobriety, you immediately start to remove some of those bad things, right? Because you are not in an altered state. You're not going to be doing the stuff you used to do, and so you immediately begin a new path, and people will see
Automatic.
that, and you will see that, and the more you see it and feel it, the more you're going to want to perpetuate it and continue down that road, right? It's an amazing thing.
Automatically.
Yeah. And, let's not, make sure people understand we're not all the way there yet either. Right. We're
No,
figuring it out, but
I'm not.
yeah, but we keep trying. Right.
That's right.
And we keep learning. And I think that's the
That's
key.
right. Whoever, if you're not making mistakes, you're not living.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
don't feel bad about that. We all make a mistake or two here and there. Okay?
Yeah. Cool. All right. Core belief number 9. I am worthless. And I think this goes kind of to the last two. They all tie together pretty well in this one, between people not liking me, or that I'm not a good person, or that I'm worthless. And, worthless is a pretty awful word. And I said that in the blog. To feel that you have nothing to offer anything or anybody is, first of all, it's preposterous, right? It's not possible. You can look around yourself on any given day, and you're going to find that there's something that you do, or somebody that you interact with, or somebody you meet, or whatever, that's going to show that you do have a place and a purpose in the world. And to say that we're worthless, if we say that and then we go find that evidence, we're going to find it because we make mistakes, right? So if I look at any mistake I make and say, see, that shows that I'm worthless, I can prove that, if I do it enough times. But we have to change that and realize, I am valuable. As a human being, we're all valuable. And you just have to start looking for those pieces of evidence, and they are there. And I said, it doesn't have to be some massive, grand gesture, right? To be evidence of being of value. It can be very simple. It can be something as simple as, going to work, helping somebody out, reaching out to a friend, saying hi, staying, present with your family. It could be helping somebody get something off the top shelf in a grocery store. I mean, whatever it is, right? Those little things, find those things, because we all do them every day. We have things that we do that show that, hey, I'm a person of value. And then when you start to see those, you'll start to feel that, I think, right? The more you see that value, then that value is going to grow within you. And then you're going to want more of that feeling, right? It's just like everything else. And so we got to be able to be open enough to see that we do things every day that are positive, that have, like you said, the cause and effect. We do things that have positive effects on something around us or someone around us. And we just need to spend a little time finding them, start telling them. And at first it may not feel good and it may not be easy, but the more you do it, it'll get more easy. And the more you see it, then you'll start to see that you start doing it more often. Right. And then that's again, a self-perpetuating kind of a deal.
Yes, the past does not equal my present right now. I I cannot define myself from my past. Other people will use the past against me. There's no question about that. I know that for they can use it over and over again against you. But I always have to tell myself the past is not equal to present. It's not going to. It doesn't have to equal the future either.
Right.
So my past mistakes. There's sometimes that I might have done stuff that wasn't worthy. Worth. It could have been like worthless. I mean, I did go out and drink all night long. Kind of was worthless. I didn't get much out of it, or didn't give any much out. But I have to dispute my irrational beliefs by, am I totally worthless? No, it's impossible. Have I ever done anything worthwhile? Sure, I have. I have done many things worthwhile. And then, have I done worthless things? Yeah, but you know what? I have so many different successes. So what I'm doing is I can't judge myself, which we do. I'm always judging myself for my failures or my core beliefs of irrational thinking that I'm worthless. I'm judging. I'm. What do they say? I'm my worst judge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can judge me, but I'm the one that judges myself harshly more than anyone else will in this thing here called the brain. And so I kind of ask questions to dispute these irrational beliefs. Yeah, and I judge myself, and I wrote down this one thing. I compare myself. I do today.
Yeah.
Still, not that I do it all day long, which my mind stream doesn't continue to do one thing all day long, but I still kind of compare myself. I judge myself. I still have jealousy. They talk about 7 deadly sins in the big book in AA. They talk about character defects. This is what I found out. All human beings have all of these 7 character defects anyhow. So there's not much difference that separates me from someone else, really. The only thing that separated me was a few things, but let's just use alcohol. The thing that separated me the most was I was addicted to alcohol. Maybe you weren't. But today I'm not addicted to alcohol. Okay? Today I'm not addicted to alcohol. But today I'm human and these character defects come in and out, and I'm trying to do the best I can with the self-inquiry, the stuff that we're doing right now to help.
Yeah.
And, I can't, I can start the day over anytime I want.
Yeah.
If I screw up a little bit, I can pause, take a nice deep breath, relax a little bit, and start the day over and say, okay, how can I change that around a little bit? That takes time, effort, constant repetition. It's just like the same repetition that gets me the bad, irrational core beliefs is the same repetition it's going to give me the good, rational thinking. So over time, I have a shot at changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, as part of the, what's very, well known in the sober community is the idea of helping and being of service. Right. And, when you start to feel that need too, when that starts to come up and you start acting in that way, that's a huge, change and switch in that core thinking about whether you're worthless or not. Right. Because it feels good to just be there. Right. To reach out to people, talk to people, learn about people, just be present in that community. And I think that's a big and easy one, really. All you got to do is start, and you'll be a part of that. And then you'll feel the benefits of that really quick.
Yeah. And just talking a little briefly on that, self-care, taking care of oneself. If we're giving and not taking care of ourselves, if we're the worst judge, then we need to take care of ourselves by doing what we're talking about, by the affirmations, the changing of the core beliefs. So we have to be a little selfish, self-care, taking care of ourselves first, to be able to then be able to go out and help other people. But don't deny yourself the care that I won't deny myself, and I hope others don't deny themselves the care that they need.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the, the forgiveness piece, right? You have to be able to forgive yourself. You have to be able to love yourself. You have to be able to be present with you, who you are, and be happy with who you are first, right? And that's going to be the beginning of everything, I think. And then I think it's kind of like the underlining piece of every one of these core beliefs when we start to think about how we can use them in a more positive way, right? All right, well, let's finish on number 10. It's core belief number 10. I don't have a problem with alcohol. In the morning when I was writing this one, I was trying to think about what do I want to write about? And I usually kind of go through some ideas and thoughts and things that I've dealt with in my life, and this one popped up and I went, wow, this was an obvious one that I haven't talked about yet. And it is a real belief, and it's something we tell ourselves. And the interesting part about it for me when I was writing about it is it's a belief that we start developing probably the moment we start to question if we have a problem, right? So the moment I ask myself, and it could just be to myself, nobody else around, I just start thinking, am I drinking too much? And I think the moment we do that, we start building this core belief, because what we start to do is be like, I don't want to think that I do, because I know if I have a problem or if I'm drinking too much, then I got a long road ahead of me, right? I got a lot of work to do. So we don't want to believe that. And so we just start telling ourselves immediately, I don't have a problem. As long as I don't have a problem, I don't have to deal with it. And that can go on for years. I think I don't even know how many years I did that, but it's got probably 20 years where I had started to think maybe I was drinking too much. It might be even longer. I don't know. But that's what we talk about, this repetition, right? The more we tell ourselves or try to convince ourselves of something, the more we're going to start to believe it. And if we believe it, we just stay down that path, right? And eventually, hopefully, something will change your thinking. And that's what happened for me. I just looked at it one day and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I got to stop doing this, and changed it. And the day I quit is when I started telling myself that I just was okay with it. Like, hey, this doesn't work for me. I'm not able to drink. I'm just not able to do it. And once I decided that, then it all became a little bit easier, And I think on that one, that I don't have a problem with alcohol. I didn't like the idea of changing that core belief to saying I have a problem with alcohol, because I feel like as soon as we do this, this goes back to the disease concept and stuff we talked about, Bobby, where by saying I have a problem with alcohol, what I'm saying then is that it's like a crutch, right? So if I drink, I can just blame it on that. Hey, I have a problem with alcohol, so it's not really my fault, and I can use that as an excuse for years. And so instead of changing the core belief to I have a problem with alcohol, I decided to say instead that alcohol is the problem, and just say, hey, look, alcohol is a problem. It's a problem for anybody who drinks it, whether they have the problem or not yet. They may in time, but for me, I'm there, right? So alcohol is a problem for me. And then from there, I can make a decision every time I pick up a drink, whether I drink it or not, knowing if I drink it, this is what's going to happen. If I don't drink it, this is what's going to happen. And that was the direction I went with this idea for the core belief, was saying that alcohol is the problem.
Yes, that's a big statement, and we could talk, endless about that,
Absolutely, yeah.
and we could go in many, many, many directions with that. And John and I aren't here. We're not therapists. We're not.
No,
This isn't a therapy session. We're not telling anybody what to do, how to do it. We're just putting out a podcast to kind of like sharing some of our beliefs, some of our opinions, some of our perspective of reality that we know. Okay,
right.
so everybody's entitled. Don't judge me on my opinions, because you go out and research your own stuff, and whatever is going to work for you is going to work for you, whoever it is. For me, alcohol. When I was drinking, alcohol was the solution to my problem.
Right.
And my problem was me. Okay. It wasn't anything else. I was the problem, in the sense that alcohol was a solution to get me out of what I needed to do.
Right.
You know, it was an escape. Via the bottle is an escape mechanism for me to escape responsibility, uh, and it's a choice. I choose every time I did it. I chose it, even though I was in the addiction. It's very hard to get out of addiction, but you can get out like that. Everybody
Right.
gets out like that, no matter what. You choose it. You say, "This is it. Yes to help. I'm done." Oh, and that's usually how it happens, unless you have some mental health issues and you have to. And that's another thing. I would encourage people to, if you can afford, somehow do one-on-one therapy. To go a little deeper. You can go a little deeper into uh, talking, doing some cognitive behavioral therapy with a counselor, and they don't have to be real expensive. Sometimes you can find a group that is $10. Everybody chips in. They do what do they call, as needed to pay. Sometimes you get a counselor that helps out and doesn't charge a lot. You seek and you shall find. But getting back to the alcohol deal, that was 10, right?
Hmm.
How about when you say you have a problem? I Here's the deal. I am the solution today.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
I'm not I'm not the problem today.
Yeah.
Today I am the solution to whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. I'm the creator. If you believe in the creator, if you believe in God, if you believe in spirituality, I don't care what you believe, or even if you don't believe. Okay, this mind here is a gift that's been given by something, maybe, or maybe just evolution, but it's here. It's ours. It's a gift. So it's my job to kind of utilize it and think, question, uh, observe, and become aware is my job. That's my job today. And
Yeah.
the consciousness could be separate from the thinking part of it. And I like to just go beyond and become more conscious. And I think you said it, and I say it all the time.
Yeah.
To awaken, we
Yep.
become awake. We woke up.
Yep.
Instead of using I'm sober, I've become awake.
Yeah.
I'm awakening, and that's the truth. Because they say the spiritual awakening. As soon as you say yes to help you have your first spiritual awakening, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
As
For
soon as you
sure.
say yes, that's if people believe in spirituality, that's a spiritual awakening. You don't have to do a lot of things to be spiritual. I believe we are spiritual beings anyhow. Just because we put booze in our bodies and take all these pills and drugs and shoot dope and take all this other stuff doesn't mean we're still not spiritual beings. That's
Yeah.
what I kind of believe. But yeah, 10.
It's a big one. It's definitely a big one. I think the direction I really wanted to make sure was important on that one was the choice piece, and it's what you were just saying. It's like, if we can understand and believe that we have a choice, right? As long as we have a choice, we can always make the right decision. And that's why I wanted to leave that as part of that core belief instead of kind of taking it away, because I don't like that idea of saying that because of this thing I have no control. We've talked about the powerless piece before, and the same with this, right? um, it's not, it's not about my problem. It's about it is a problem, and I know that it's a problem, so I can choose not to do it. And I like that idea and that thinking, so that's kind of where I was going with that.
That's very good. That's where you were. I know you were going there, and that's why I
Yeah.
kind of just brought some things, other things, talked about other things,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
so it's all good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all good.
Well, yeah. So we'll come back next week. We'll keep going. We'll start with number 11 next week and keep talking about some of these core beliefs. And like we said, if you guys have any thoughts about some beliefs you've had that have kept you back, um, comment, let us know. And I'd love to dig into them and explore them a little bit more with you too. I'll probably post them on my page and on Twitter as well, and see if I can get some feedback from people and so we can keep this going, because I think it's a good thing to talk about. It's good reminders every time we talk about them. But don't forget Bobby C's on Twitter, and my website is xtopwriting.com. On there, you'll see my Sober Militia blog, which has all my podcasts attached to each blog. I have a Facebook group called Sober Militia as well. And I think that's it. Twitter, obviously. So stay in touch with us and keep coming back. We appreciate you guys, watching these and reading the blogs and being a part of this. I think Bobby has one more thing here.
One more thing.
Okay.
Please, the gift that has been given to us, John and I, and so many others, is free will. I have free will today, and I have free will to say my beliefs, my opinions, my ideas, and my perception of reality. Grant me that. You don't have to agree. You don't have to believe. Just allow me. That's a gift for me to be able to speak my mind and say things that I believe. I don't want anybody take what you want and leave the rest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's a gift for all of us, and I respect everyone's opinions and ideas. I wouldn't discount anyone's ideas or opinions. So, Hal, honest. It's as honest as you can be. Honest, open-minded, and willing to change. That's what I'm trying to get more open,
Yeah.
more of that open-mindedness to be able to be willing to even accept things that I didn't believe before, but by searching things out, more awareness comes to me, and I can be open-minded to listen to other things.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. I
John,
think
thank
being aware
you.
is a big part of it.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Thank
so
you, Bobby.
much.
Always good to have you here and chat a little bit and kind of explore some of these different ideas. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again. All right, man. Well, take care. We'll see you next week. And everybody, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, everybody.